Today, we're going to dive into the ancient Persian kingdom to uncover a truly dramatic story. It's got palace intrigue, incredible bravery, and a wild reversal of fortune that all comes down to the courage of one person. I mean, really think about that for a second. It's a heavy question, right? Well, this was the exact situation a young woman named Esther found herself in, and the choice she made will literally echo through history. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in the citadel of Susa, which is basically the heart of the Persian Empire. The powerful King Xerxes is throwing this absolutely massive 180-day feast to show off just how wealthy and magnificent his kingdom is. Now, at the peak of all this celebration, a moment of public defiance from his queen, Vashti, sparks a major royal crisis. The king is furious, he deposes her, and this sets off an empire-wide search for a replacement. A search that would bring a very, very unlikely candidate to the palace. And this is where we meet Esther. Among the countless young women brought to the palace was a Jewish orphan named Hadassah. We know her as Esther. And she was raised by her devoted cousin, Mordecai. While Esther's grace and beauty were just undeniable, she completely captivated not just the royal staff, but the king himself. Xerxes chooses her over all the other women and makes her his new queen. But, and this is a big but, at Mordecai's instruction, she carried this heavy secret. Nobody in the heart of the Persian court could know that she was Jewish. Meanwhile, you've got Mordecai, just being a faithful subject. While he's sitting at the king's gate, he uncovers an assassination plot. He gets the word to Esther, she tells the king, and she makes sure Mordecai gets full credit. His loyalty saves the king's life, and this crucial detail gets written down in the royal records. Now that might seem like a small thing, but it's about to become incredibly important. So as Esther is rising in the palace, a new and very dangerous threat is emerging. It's time to meet our story's villain, a man whose wounded pride is about to ignite a genocidal plot. King Xerxes promotes this noble named Haman, making him the second most powerful man in the entire empire. The king even commands that all royal officials have to kneel down and pay homage to Haman. But one man, Mordecai, refuses. He will only kneel before his God. And this single act of defiance doesn't just annoy Haman, it sends him into an absolute, unchecked rage. A rage so huge, he decides he's not just going to destroy one man, he's going to annihilate every single Jewish person in the entire empire. And to choose the perfect day for this horrific plan, Haman leaves it up to chance. He casts lots, or pur, which lands on the 13th day of the 12th month as the day for the coordinated destruction of all the Jewish people. So Haman goes to the king with a bunch of lies, painting the Jews as some kind of rebellious threat. He even seals the deal by offering a massive bribe. And the king, in a scary display of power without wisdom, just hands over his signet ring. And just like that, a royal decree is sent out, sealing the fate of an entire people. You can imagine the terror when news of the decree spreads. Widespread mourning just erupts. Mordecai, in sackcloth and ashes, knows there is only one person in the world who could possibly intervene, his cousin, the queen. But Esther sends a terrifying message back to Mordecai. She reminds him of the deadly law of the court. I mean, to approach the king uninvited wasn't just frowned upon, it was a capital offense. Her life would be on the line the second she stepped into that inner court. Mordecai replies with this powerful, timeless challenge. He tells her not to think for a second her position in the palace will save her. And then he asks this profound question. What if her entire life, her unlikely rise to queen, was for this exact purpose? For this one moment in history? And that's it. Hearing Mordecai's words, Esther makes her choice. She chooses courage over fear. She accepts her destiny and asks her people to fast and pray with her for 3 days as she gets ready to risk absolutely everything. So after 3 days of fasting, Esther puts on her royal robes, takes a deep breath, and sets in motion a brilliant and incredibly dangerous plan to save her people. The king is thrilled to see her and spares her life, but here's where she's so clever. Instead of just blurting out her request, she plays the long game. She skillfully builds up the suspense by inviting the king and her enemy Haman to not one, but 2 exclusive banquets, leaving them both guessing what she could possibly want. Now, between these two parties, something amazing happens. A sleepless king has the royal records read to him and is reminded that Mordecai saved his life, but was never rewarded for it. At that exact moment, Haman arrives to ask permission to execute Mordecai. But before he can, the king asks him for advice on how to honor a great man. Haman, in his arrogance, thinks the king means him and describes this lavish ceremony, only to be ordered to give that very honor to the man he came to destroy. The irony is just incredible. Finally, at the second banquet, the moment of truth arrives. The king, feeling good, once again presses Esther for her real request. She reveals that a plot has been made against her life and the lives of her people. The king is absolutely stunned and demands to know who would dare do such a thing. And this is the climax of the entire story. With all eyes on her, Esther reveals her Jewish identity and points directly at her guest of honor. Haman, who just moments before was feeling so proud and important, is exposed as the villain. The reversal is stunning and immediate. The king flies into a rage, and when he learns that Haman had already built a giant gallows for Mordecai, the very man who had saved his life, he orders Haman to be executed on it right away. Haman's own wicked invention becomes the instrument of his demise. But Haman's death wasn't the end of it. A Medo-Persian law, once it was sealed with the king's ring, couldn't be revoked. So that original decree for destruction was still active, and the Jewish people were still in grave danger. So the king immediately promotes Mordecai to Haman's old job, and with the king's authority, Mordecai issues a new decree, one that allows the Jews to defend themselves. As you can see right here, the reversal is absolute. A day that was planned for total annihilation was transformed into one of victory and deliverance. Mordecai recorded all of these events, and the festival of Purim was established to celebrate this great deliverance. And so the story of Esther leaves us with this powerful thought. It's a timeless reminder of how pride leads to destruction and how the courage to be who you are at exactly the right time can literally change the world.